Here's something we've all used. I've used them. You, Seth Petrozelli, Tony Rage, my neighbor Francis used them.
My father-in-law,
Yeah.
he actually got a whole new deal, whole thing.
Tons of our listeners have used Precision Door.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the I have ED, penis doesn't work clinic.
Nope.
Take that, father-in-law.
We're talking Precision Door, and here's the number. It's a personal number just for us and just for you guys to call to get that VIP treatment. In fact, you're going to call Big Tim because he worked for Precision Door, and this is his work phone number. It's 407-710-BDMS. That's 407-710-2367. Just tell him you want the Tom and Dan hookup. You get 5% off any whole door. Like if you need a whole door replaced.
Well, like my father-in-law, he got a brand new door. It's amazing. And we all have the Tom and Dan silent package.
Yeah.
We have that super duper silent motor. Then they put these sleeves, these little
like plastic sleeves over the bearings.
Yeah, so it makes it like virtually silent.
Yeah.
I mean, mine was in really, really sad shape until Precision came out there and fixed it up.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of BDMs, including Big Tim, that actually work there, and they're hiring again, so you can always go there. They're always looking for service techs, installers, and office staff. But use that number, 407-710-BDMS. That's 407-710-2367. Talk to Big Tim and get that garage door taken care of.
Yeah, and what's great about the silent package that we have is it's Wi-Fi, so the motor, we can check. I've done this multiple times. I leave the house and the kids and everything, and I'm like, did I close the garage door?
Yeah.
And all I have to do is check on my app, and it says open or close, and if it is open, I can just hit close, and I can close it from anywhere in the world as long as I have Wi-Fi. So
yeah, or
it's
like
great.
for me, I've talked about it in the Similar Power Sports ad on my scooter. Well, I don't carry a garage door opener on my scooter, but I have my cell phone with me, so I pull up to the door, I hit the button from my phone, I drive my scooter right in there. It's awesome.
Yep, it's really good. They're a great company, great service techs. It's Precision Door.
In the boy, the larynx and the vocal cords change so that his voice acquires the deeper pitch of a man's voice. The shoulders become broader, thighs grow longer, and the muscles become stronger. Hair begins to grow on the face, under the arms, and in the pubic area.
You are a man, and in taking on the role of the world's
second
greatest gender, you must adhere to A Gentleman's Guide to Manliness.
It's a Gentleman's Guide to Manliness. I'm Steve Kramer.
Tom Van.
Dan Dennis. Hey, look at these cool glasses I got. Look, I'm a serial killer.
So for radio listeners and podcast listeners, Daniel is wearing, they look like the blue blockers that you get after you dilate your eyes, except instead of being solid black, they're like a sapphire blue.
Yeah, what do you think of these, Tom?
You can see through them. They wrap around the sides.
I not to jump right in, but I brought these in today for a Gentleman's Guide because, we dabble in talking about style. I love your shirt you have on today. And
very flowery.
I decided to buy these glasses, and it was an $8 decision on the internet.
I like them.
Look
They
like John Goodman from Big Lebowski.
Yeah, you do actually.
Well, I'm not
That's it.
I'd like to think that I'm not as fat as John Goodman.
Well, he wasn't that
very insulting.
He wasn't
means
that
the
fat
glasses.
back then.
He wasn't melted John Goodman. He was
pretty
fatter.
big.
He was a fatter
He
John
was
Goodman.
pretty big.
Yeah.
Now he's very melty. Like when I was watching him on Roseanne, it was difficult to watch.
The one that's hardest to watch that slimmed down, the two are Tom Arnold, because that guy, he needs a little bit of weight on him, and also Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill toned up, ripped up is no good.
Yeah. Well, he's not ripped up. He just skinny.
Well, comparatively.
he looked like he just kind of looked
meltier.
Jonah looked kind of sad and pale, and I think that's what people were, confused about.
The thing is, if you keep up, you keep your weight up for a long period of time, then you lose weight. No matter what, your skin is going to be a little melty.
Yeah,
and you can't get away from it.
There's probably a comparable graph though that also as your age goes up, the meltiness gets higher. If you lose the weight when you're 10, that's
it bounces back.
Back. If you do it when you're 20, that's right back. You do it when you're 60.
Melty.
I think even now I feel like I feel a little fudgier when I look in the mirror, even though I've lost weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, it's getting a little fudgier.
Well, then you get the mommy makeover. You get the tummy tuck.
I'll never get a tummy tuck. Are you crazy?
You get, and then you get a little line, but instead of just leaving that scar there, you get like a jewelry, some stomach jewelry, a little jewelry necklace
if
that you wear
anything,
around
I'd
there.
get a tattoo. I get a tramp. What's the front?
We get a tattoo on the back, and then the tummy jewelry hanging around, and then you get a sapphire in the middle of
I'm not going to draw attention to it unless it's a tattoo.
And you call it the Eye of Daniel.
Do you have any tattoos?
I don't.
I thought you had some tattoos near your pubic area.
How would you even know that?
I think
I don't. But B, how would you even know that?
I thought I remember you telling me one time that you had
good. Here we go.
Some seagulls and an inspirational quote and a star and a moon.
It's a Jonathan Livingston Seagull quote.
A Playboy. Maybe I'll get a Playboy.
No, it's a quote from Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the movie.
I want the Playboy logo right in my row chairs down there.
Just get it tanned in. Like
that used to be a thing. That used to turn me on a little bit. Like I used to date a girl, and she'd go to the tanning salon, and before she entered, and then put on like her activation lotions, she would put
She did lotions even?
We had to do the lotions to activate if you really wanted that.
If you really want to be crispy.
Yeah, crispy brown.
Yeah.
So she would put the little, and they had different ones. There was like a shamrock. You could get the traditional Playboy logo, which is the one that she always went for. But then the sticker started moving, so the Playboy logo started getting fatter. You know what I mean? It was the first time it's real crisp, but if you don't get that sticker right on the same spot again,
you almost have to move it to a new spot. You got to alternate sides. Well, you have your left bunny and then the right bunny, and you go back and forth.
At one point, she had to just stop and just re-tan over it.
Did you like the super? It's almost orangey, right? That it's not spray tan orange, but it's got that.
Yeah, I'm a tan line guy. Like I like it when the top of the breast is golden brown
and then pale white,
and down below is 80s style.
Yes,
that's assuming you're dating a Caucasian woman. It could have been,
I don't feel the need to preface. You were too sensitive, Snowflake.
No, I'm just saying, it might not be pale white. I mean, who knows?
That could be like
it's lighter than the skin.
Yeah, but I like
that's probably true.
Milky white, and then the top crispy brown.
Because you know why? It emphasizes what you're not supposed to see.
Yes.
It's like, this used to be covered, now it's not. If it's all the same, you're like, well, it's the...
there's a science behind that, right? And I have an article to prove it right here.
So this is all set up?
No, he just actually...
It felt so organic.
He's just really good at... Did you remember that I had pulled an article today about the science of...
It feels so contrived now, Daniel.
No, I'm just being honest with the audience. Like, he went right into it. What men see when they look at boobs according to science. Do you know about any of this?
Yes.
Here's the first one. Size matters, but not as much as you think. The rumor that men tend to prefer medium to large breasts is true, but less sexually restricted men seem to care far less about size. One study shows other research suggests that medium boobs are, in fact, the most popular among men and women. So for breasts, bigger isn't always better. In fact, studies suggest large breasts would be better off maintaining a C average.
So this is interesting because I was literally just listening to an old Rogan episode where he was interviewing the two evolutionary biologists, and they were talking about the human attraction or male attraction to breasts, and how there is an evolutionary biological basis for it, in that it tells the world that this is a person that is capable of sustaining a child, feeding a child, and that is capable of
Did you
being
know
fertile.
There's an economic link here. How much money you make may influence your boob preference. If you like small boobs, don't worry. You're probably just rich, one paper suggests. The study published the Journal of Socioeconomics found that men with fewer financial resources gravitate towards larger breasts, while men who are more well-off financially tend to lean more towards smaller ones. On a biological level, perhaps wealthier men have a sense that they do not need extra fatty reserves. They can just grab a steak dinner and call it a night.
Let me tell you, I've done a lot of divorces, and I've done people that don't have a lot of money and people that do. And
I see what they're saying. They're trying to link it up to our.
Oh, this is all BS, by the way. This entire article.
No.
I feel like most of the time it's BS.
It's using science to try to explain off why. That's a stretch, though. I can't really see, because I don't think. Then
why do people with discretionary income go ahead and invest in breast augmentation?
That's most rich guys
that's not covered by insurance usually, unless unless it's reconstructive. So that means you got to have discretionary income and the ability to do it.
I don't even think I agree with that one, but I'm just reading what this this article is saying.
No. Yeah, it's using the evolutionary science to try to explain.
There's no financial component to evolutionary science because there was no economy.
But they're trying to make the link.
I mean, but you're right. Every rich guy buys their wife boob job to get big boob. It's.
How about this one?
The worst one though is what happens when people separate, and then maybe the wife still has the credit card, and then the husband gets the bill for it, and he goes, "Oh." And then sees what the money was for.
Oh, yeah.
From our Twitch
That's
chat
like
room,
the ultimate.
Twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live. BDM Christine says, "Oh man, that explains why poros are into me." She says, "I walk in a Subway and I turn heads of all the sandwich artists. Rich dudes, not so much." Christine, you're too hard on yourself. She's beautiful. We know Christine. We have her art hanging in our own studio, right? Like you don't come on. You're being hard on yourself. How about this one, guys?
Anybody with big boobs, guys, just naturally will glance. It's just a thing.
Maybe I fall into a different
biological reason for it.
Whether it's dudes, whether it's ladies, it could be anything. If it's got boobs and they're exposed, I look at it. I'm sorry. I'm just going to look at it. If a pig lays down to feed her suckling piglets, I'll look right at it. It's just something.
I'll look at any nudity.
I'll look at any nudity. And I think a lot of people don't want to admit that, but nude man walks in here, I look right at him. Nude woman walks in here, I look right at him. Nude anybody, nude granny, nude, a lawn man.
You're truly pansexual.
If you start taking
curiosity,
it's purely has.
Then
nothing,
we need to separate the pigs for the people.
Has nothing to do with sex. This is not a sex thing. If you started disrobing right now, I'd sit here and I'd watch the whole damn thing. It has nothing to do with
those glasses. It would feel really weird.
How about this one? If you don't want to stare, don't view boobs on an empty stomach. Don't worry, it's not because you'll attempt to breastfeed. The aforementioned study also found that boob preference are broadly related to available resources, and that while men are satisfied, they're less drawn to huge knockers. The study also found that men who prefer big breasts tend to be more sexist than others. Hungry and sexist, what a bad combination.
What study, what university?
No idea. Look, I'm just reading it.
This is literally you could write an article and say there was a study and say whatever you want.
Steven, this is what radio has been doing for years. You find a study, you read everything, you knock it around, then you go to the break room, smoke a cigarette.
I want to know the chi-square on that.
Also, when you read these things, no one actually researches to see if there was a study.
We know somebody that writes
unless you're super nerdy like me, and I'll dig in and
I'm not going to blow up this person's spot, but Tom and I know a woman who writes these. And she told us it's crap. Remember?
Of course.
Yeah. So how about this one?
Clickbait.
Now this one I like. Staring at boobs might help you live longer. There's some evidence that staring at boobs may increase a man's longevity.
Oh my God, this is the worst.
A 2012 study. They do have a footnote. A 2012 study found that positive thinking had a positive effect on long-term health choices, particularly when it came to taking blood pressure medication. While not all experts are convinced, many have deduced that looking at boobs is one such way to achieve a positive mental attitude. Another German study concluded that looking at boobs for 10 minutes a day was good for a man's cardiovascular health. All of these benefits, of course, only exist if the boob gazing is permitted. Otherwise, staring at boobs on the sly can significantly shorten your life if you catch our drift. They threw a joke.
Let me ask you about this. So when you have your blood pressure taken, do you guys have like a method to like calm yourself?
I usually go in hot, fueled on caffeine. They usually say, your blood pressure's high. We'll take it at the end.
I have like I have a happy place I go to. I always do that every time.
Well,
I got it from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't you want it to not do that? Because
you want to represent.
No, I want to win because listen.
No, it's not about you're like the guy who starves himself or like only flosses his teeth before going to the dentist.
Maybe I'm unique, but it's the white coat syndrome. I'm not trying to game the system or win. I'm just trying to counterbalance the white coat thing. Like if I took it myself a random time, it'd be fine. It's that under the pressure, it just counterbalances that.
Well, my doctor told me, he's like, go bench press and then take your blood pressure. It'll be 200 over 100. Like your blood pressure goes up and down. You just don't want it to, the medium, you don't want that to be high. The average, that's where it kills you. Your blood pressure can be high and low at any time.
That's right.
So
when you have yours taken, do you just sit there or do you think of anything?
Bert Kreischer told us one time that it's pretty funny. He's like, he said he was going to the doctor and his buddy Tom Segura said, he's like, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow, so I'm not going to drink tonight or whatever. And then, because I don't want to be hungover and feel like crap when the doctor's giving me a blood test or whatever. And Tom Segura's like, no, you got to go in hot. Like you do, you gotta go in like you do with every day, so it gives you an accurate representation of your health, because that's what you would be at tomorrow or the next day. Like, basically what he's saying.
I kind of agree with that.
I think so too.
Go in at your worst.
I don't know about that. Your worst. You want to go in at your average.
Yeah. So if you're
and if you go in regularly, then the average should paint an accurate picture.
Yeah. So don't try to win the testing.
I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to counterbalance the white coat syndrome. That's all.
You guys are both dads. Just to close this thing out so I can throw it in the trash. Being a dad changes how you look at boobs. Preferring larger breasts can indicate a lot of things, but it might just mean that you're ready to be a father, research suggests. And there was a study that found that men who do not have kids but wanted them were generally into larger boobs, and dudes who had had no familiar aspirations were content with smaller pairs. I don't believe any of that.
I do.
They're using evolutionary science to be like, okay, men are attracted.
I do. The way I feel as an adult is a lot different than the way I felt when I was, before when I was in college or law school.
And
it really the line of demarcation was when I had kids, and then all of a sudden my preference changed. I preferred a more well endowed décolletage.
I think.
Do you know what that means?
No,
I don't either.
I'm with Daniel in the fact that we've always said this. If we're attracted to all women, I
am definitely.
So it's not. I'm not nitpicking like boob size as a this attractive woman has a little
you can be attracted to anybody, but it's about preference. Well, there's a difference between preference and fetish.
But this leads to my question. Both of you guys are fathers. I'm a father. Has your preference or what you're into changed since, let's say, the age of 18 to where you are now?
Absolutely. I prefer women that, have more meat on the bones.
Yeah, a more voluptuous lady. Yeah.
I am also
more hourglass.
I'm more attracted.
I didn't care when I was young. I was opposite. When I was younger. I wanted. It was more 90s.
I actually was watching a video a couple of days ago, not a pornographic video, but a video of somebody sent me something. It was like a beach bikini contest video or something like that. And the girls that were there, it was one of the only times that I've looked at something and realized it's like, I know that used to be my type.
Yeah.
But it's totally not my type now. It's not bad.
What's good?
I love it when guys do that. Like, we used to work with some people, Dirty Jim, who would just draw their line in the sand and be like, I will absolutely ugly. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, but I think that's a good sign, Daniel. I think that's a sign of maturing, because, you are liking women that are more mature, because let's face it, younger women are not as curvy, and as women become women, they are curvier, and it also lines up with that fatherhood, motherhood thing. Does that happen
to dudes?
Yes.
So if I were a gay guy and I let's say I'm gay and I know I'm gay and I'm like a hot 21-year-old and I'm at college and everything, as I go through my life and I get to be older, do I find a more dad bod man more attractive because I find a more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to speculate considering I'll never be that, but I would like to think that because we're all very, very similar, you know what I mean? Like, there's not much separating us, a couple of little, chromosomes and things bouncing around.
Not much.
Yeah. So I would like to think maybe we'll have to reach out to some of our, I have to reach out to Ron.
It'd be tough.
Gay Ron, and see if because he's a big burly bear gay man.
We could do our own study, and we'll actually, do it right, and we get our full sampling.
I just think that'd be interesting to think that. Oh yeah, some of my older gay friends, like Wanzi. I wonder if you ask Wanzi, like, hey, when you were 18, what were you into? And okay, now you're, I don't know his age, let's say, late 40s, early 50s, something like that. Like, what are you into? Is it different? Is it the same? Do you not care?
I think there has to be an element of you're also probably into something closer to the reality of what your capabilities are
of being with. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So I think every man. Now, some people don't have this, and always surprise me when men are like
I don't think many men believe they could realistically be with women that are on screen or celebrities, but they're attracted to them.
Of course, you're attracted to it, but I'm talking about like fantasizing, because there's a difference between like sexual attraction and then fantasizing as if you were with them. You see what I'm saying? Like,
so you mean that most fantasies are altering your fantasy to something that in your mind is more attainable?
Yeah,
okay, all right.
I've done this because
you know what? Full transparency, brother. I do that. I think I do that. I think when I'm looking for, I'll just be real with you guys. If I'm looking for a video to watch, I think I do subconsciously gravitate to the video that I feel like that woman would sleep with me in real life.
Or
does that make sense?
At least closer than the women that are so like.
And it's not an out of my league thing. It's just like maybe fish out of water. Like I would never be interested in you anyway because you're too much of a Miami style
supermodel
stripper or something. This.
You're looking. What you mean is you're looking for a girl next door more than you're looking for
a more normal.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the whole basis of the girl next door idea, a fantasy. I mean that's
wow. From our Twitch chat room, EJ too far. I can't even say that.
That's way too far.
But he's been extra typing horny in the old Twitch chat room.
That's no good.
If you want to watch that, twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live.
So
that might be true though.
I feel
had to be here, guys. Sorry.
For every human being, probably would rather have a closer to accurate fantasy that maybe, in their mind, closer to achievable than some ridiculous.
But I don't think everybody does that.
No, you're right.
No, I don't think.
I think what we're hearing here is that Steven doesn't. Like when Steven has a fantasy, like he's shooting for the moon. Whereas you and I, when we have a fantasy, we come in with a coupon. We're the value fantasizers.
I know any 22-year-old supermodel is going to see me nude and be like,
not necessarily, man. Not necessarily. There's a whole nother study I didn't.
Didn't we have a whole show about DJ
Khaled? DJ Khaled?
I mean,
we the best.
Well, if I'm like rich and then she's willing to,
I mean, you do have like a small cult.
Bite the watch.
We've talked about that. You have a small cult.
You said cult. I have to put my glasses back on. That's a rule.
I mean, within your small cult and little social stratification,
22-year-old supermodels.
No,
not that I've seen.
And not only are there not, even our 50-year-old supermodels don't want to sleep with us.
Yeah,
your Lauren Huttons. Wow, pulled that out of my rear end.
She's older than 50, bud.
Dude, she would. Lauren Hutton with the gap between her teeth. Come on.
She just did a modeling shoot.
She would do these.
Still beautiful woman.
That was one of the first models that, as a young man, I found her name. I was a young. I think I was like middle school, and they used to put the name of like the model if she was like in like a J. Crew catalog or Victoria's Secret or something. But Lauren Hutton was way more elegant than that. But she was like, I had to look her up, and I remember thinking, oh my god, like with the gap between her teeth, I just thought she was so exotic. And she would do Birdine's ads. That was part of my young manhood right there.
I'm just saying, if DJ Khaled can be a giant star, and I'm sure he does okay with the ladies, then so can Tom Van.
Well, that's a
the other thing that's cool as I've gotten older.
Millionaire famous around the world. Like there's women that will be willing to sleep with him, but I don't think they actually think he's good looking.
They're obviously attracted to him.
Norm in our Twitch chat room mentioned Denise Austin, the workout woman, the blonde workout woman that we all knew. Like if you skipped school, you'd immediately put your thermometer on the light bulb, at least I would, and get it red hot. And then you'd have to back it down a little bit because there's no way your mom and dad are going to believe that you have a fever of 110. So you'd have to you'd have to back it down a little bit.
My problem was I didn't know how to read the old mercury thermometers. So I didn't know how far to back it down. I give it to them, and it'd be 109, and they go...
We had a digital, so I'd put it on the light bulb and get it red hot, and then I'd take it out, and the easiest way to bring the temperature down, I knew I had a window. This is crazy, I remember this. I would lick my finger and rub the little metal tip of the the thermometer, and I'd blow on it, and I could see the numbers going down. Then I would call my mom, or I'd go to her to show her the thermometer, and I knew I had a window, and I didn't want it to drop too much, so it would continue to drop, right? And you get when you got right around hovering 104, 103, then you'd have to go present it to your mom, because I knew by the time you got there, it'd be about like a 101.9.
That's about the zone.
Then you stay home, and then you watch Denise Austin, and you eat pizzas, and you probably, masturbate.
I watched,
and
you did better than me. I watched the Beverly Hillbillies and Andy Griffith and whatever was on daytime TV, because there wasn't that much back then.
Yeah. DJ mentioned Price is Right. Yeah, you'd watch Price is Right.
And then cartoons started coming at about 3 o'clock. Tom and Jerry was on, DuckTales, Gummy Bears.
See, now when kids are homesick, they literally can watch whatever they want, whenever they want.
We were like captive audience. We didn't. There was nothing on. It was like, do you want the Beverly Hillbillies or Court TV? Or People's Court. I'll take the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, we'd have People's Court, Beverly Hillbillies, Bonanza. A lot of
some of the talk shows that like Donahue was on, or whatever. Sally Jesse,
Richard
Raphael.
Bay.
Yeah,
there was nothing.
So one cool thing that I found as I've gotten older is when I was younger, I didn't even look at women like over 30. It wasn't even in my wheelhouse. It wasn't even something I considered. As I've gotten older, one thing is, I've learned to appreciate beauty a lot more. Is that women can be beautiful their whole lives, versus hotness, and that is something that was part of what I was listening to.
Is that disrespectful?
No. That there's a difference between beauty and hotness. That hotness, if this was on that Rogan show with those evolutionary biologists, but they were talking about, hotness is if you envision somebody that's hot and you close your eyes, what you will envision is something different than when you're asked to envision somebody that's beautiful, and that beautiful you could be beautiful your whole life, but that hotness is something that's associated with youth, and it's and beauty is associated with a long-term potential relationship, that meaningful physical connection. And hotness can be, but it's more associated with with not with that, I guess. And that there's actually an evolutionary reason behind that.
Yeah.
I don't want to totally switch gears here, but I was just talking to Travis and Samantha about something I experienced last night, and the fact that me and Crystal, we were like, we sat down, and now we're like probably only watching half an hour to 40 minutes of TV a night. Because we
just do music, man.
Yeah. So it's less and less. But
good for you.
So
I don't have the time to commit
unless there's something like I'm going to watch Hard Knocks tonight. I'm excited about that. But so Crystal's like, let's just put on Sling TV, and then do you know how Sling TV? There's 2 ways to look at what's on, and there's the guide, the old school guide with the text, and then there's there's ones with actual like tiles.
You can hover over the tile, right?
Yeah, just like on demand. Yeah. But it's actually current what's on. But it's like they're kind of transitioning to what people are used to. And I'm like, let's go old school text. I just want to see text and the guide. Like, let's go back to 2006.
I love the guide.
And then so we're on the guide, and then she clicks on it, and then it's like a commercial. Like we were watching some garbage, and then and I'm like, weird. I haven't seen commercials like back to back. Like I'm used to watching one commercial, then back to your content or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you cut the cord? So you don't do regular TV at all anymore?
No. Just
okay.
I
have not cut the cord yet.
Me neither.
So I still see commercials.
Me
too.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I can't cut it. I'm too old school.
Me too.
It's been like a year and a half, like since the last Father's Day when she got my TV. That's when we were done with cable. So I was watching commercials, and I was watching this commercial that had nothing to do with anything I wanted, and I found it odd. And what happened to me?
Because you weren't being targeted. I
wasn't being targeted, and I looked at this commercial, and it was for, God, I wish I would remember what it's for. It was something that I would never buy. I'm not interested in. Different demographic or whatever. And I'm like, well, they're wasting their money. Like they're wasting their money, playing this commercial to me.
Yeah,
like what a waste.
They're just blanketing.
Yeah, they're blanketing.
Yeah.
And then
see, at least with TV, you could see the different targeting. Like if you put on Columbo. You're going to see commercials for catheters, for hearing aids,
uterine mesh lawsuits.
If you put on, the Nickelodeon, completely different commercials.
Yeah, and I'm sure, of course, and that's what it's always been. And I'm sure they're targeting a wide demographic because they don't really know.
No.
But they're not exact targeting like I'm used to. And then it got me.
I think it'll get that way though.
What? Well, everything's
Well,
like
if you
that
saw
targeted.
that
Well, I mean, like even local TV, in order to compete and not waste their money, I kind of feel like they're not going to be able to blanket. I feel like they're going to have to go like zip code, what's popular there, and then these people get those commercials, and you'll be running like out of the same network television station, you'll be running like 150 different streams.
Did you
all
Kramer,
different,
did
same programming, different commercials.
and I don't know if this has always been the case. It may be, but I got an email from some company that sells ad space in magazines, right? And
this is awesome.
And the three choices they had were Wired magazine, Vanity Fair, and
It was another huge
to buy
one.
advertising in there.
to buy advertising. there.
It was another huge. Was it Vogue?
It may have been Vogue. I'm gonna.
They were
look at
massive magazines.
Yeah.
Especially Vanity Fair is huge.
If you saw the Great Hack, did you see that documentary on Netflix about Cambridge Analytica? I mean, if you saw the way they chopped up data, they had like 5,000 data points in every American.
Yeah.
If you saw the way they chopped up data, believe me, the time is coming when those ads are going to be far more targeted in super creepy ways. I mean, they're already out there on the internet. I mean, on streaming
Of course,
TV too.
and that's how everything's going to be marketed too, because companies don't want to waste their money by broadly blanketing. The New Yorker was
So
it?
what did they offer you?
Yeah.
So they are like, "Do you want a full page ad in the New Yorker, Vanity Fair?" And
Well, New
Wired?
Yorker is your exact audience. Why wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why wouldn't we go there?
It's weird.
That's our guy.
So
Tiny top hat.
they
Maybe our show.
the prices they're all $1,990 for a full page ad.
Nuh-uh.
That's
So
what
he
it
Like
says.
was-
to run nationally or in a particular.
That's what
got
so
it.
then I was like
'Cause he
1900
offense it.
As soon as Tom told me that, I was sitting in the great couch. I go, dude, you buy that.
Do it
That's
now.
nationally. Buy every magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
New Yorker
If it's
included.
digital, they're doing it, per mil, per thousand.
No, this is a
views.
print ad.
No, it's
If
a
it's
print ad.
print, then they're doing it. It's basically the
Locally.
same effect.
It's only local,
You're
though.
always paying per head.
Yeah. So I didn't know that they took like a national magazine like Vanity Fair and then they printed local ads in every different
I didn't
local
know that
city.
either.
I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
So, and
can-
did they always do that, or are they doing it now to be hyper focused and like, hey,
They need a way to compete.
They're,
right?
Yeah, they're finding new ways to. They didn't. I don't remember seeing that many local ads in a magazine. I mean, like Wired or New Yorker.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that's newer. I mean, like when you open up GQ, do you think you're going to see an ad for the local refrigeration repair store?
No.
No.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a new innovation.
Yeah, because their business model's dying,
Yeah.
and they need new ways of revenue, and then local revenue will pay.
That's a
And
shame. I love
because
some
I
of
was
those
like,
magazines.
I was like $1,900 to be, but then I looked at the circulations like 3,000 in Orlando. I was like, well, that's not worth it.
Yeah.
I was like,
On the other hand, 3,000 people that read Wired in Orlando, those are some engaged people.
That's true.
true, but are the 3,000 people reading Wired magazine?
They're more likely to stream a podcast.
I'm spending $1,990 to what? Get 10
I'd
of
have
those
to know the
download our
circulation
podcast
here too.
I mean,
like
what-
I'd have to know how many people subscribe
so I get
Yeah.
5%.
Of course, the most savvy ones probably stream it instead of reading the print version anyway.
That's what I was thinking.
Although I like the print sometimes too.
When I subscribe to Wired, I don't anymore. I can't. Maybe that's just me and maybe my age. I cannot get into like I'm not set in my ways when it comes to technology. That's why this is so weird.
Yeah.
I can't read magazines and books on an iPad. I can't. It doesn't.
I do it a lot, but I prefer print still.
It doesn't work. Now my wife can do it flawlessly, and she's like, "Oh, it's so much more convenient. I can hold all these books on my." I don't know. It screws with my
Have you tried
eyes
a
or
Kindle?
something. She's got a Kindle.
Have
Maybe.
you tried that?
No,
because it is different than iPad. I know what you're talking about.
I just can't
it's
do
the,
it.
The paper white is a lot closer to printed page.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's the same with like you talking about cutting the cord. Like not just even the feeling of knowing I wouldn't be able to go to what's live right now on TV. Like gives me some sort of odd anxiety for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Actually, the thing that I have the biggest trouble with streaming is I like when you go through the guide because you have something in the background. Like I can leave something playing.
Yes.
And that is comforting. And sometimes I don't want to think about finding something because when I go to Netflix or Amazon or wherever, I can look for like an hour.
Well, sometimes my entire
And not find
experience
anything.
is just scrolling with something in the background.
Yeah, that's it, right.
And that's me watching TV, which is not a good experience.
Which, when you do that on Netflix, you don't get that because it's just dead silence and the pressure to pick something, find something good.
Yeah, there's a psychological term for that. I forgot. It's like some sort of anxiety, like that people get just trying to choose. There's too much to choose from.
It goes back to the thing that people don't want unlimited choices. They want choices narrowed down because it's easier. I mean, in some things I want unlimited choice, but sometimes it's helpful to have it narrowed.
All these streaming companies, and they're working on their aggregates. Like Netflix has been doing it for years. Like basing the problem is with Netflix is they have too many people have share their password too much, so it screws up their formula to try to direct market the stuff that you're interested in. But if you only use your Netflix and no one else screws up that, they take into account everything you watch and try to
that's
market
why you have different profiles,
shows
right?
to you. Yeah.
Well, you should. I guess you should have one that's like, my friends. And you just loan that one out.
Yeah, they're all trying to market what you, like, direct market to the actual person. I just found it interesting. Like, all of a sudden I was exposed to this old school way of advertising that I wasn't used to. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm not used to seeing commercials that are not for me.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah. Well, because you still have Live TV.
Right, and I won't until I transition over.
I'm
used to seeing Magnum PI talking about reverse mortgages.
I assume that every company is moving towards, I mean, that's why that they're collecting all the data and the Facebook scandal and everything, and then why it seems like whatever you're searching, then people are marketing that thing to you, and like all these coincidences, like weird, why am I getting this market? I was just looking at this last week.
Get worse.
The creepiest one is when you talk about something, you've not searched it on the internet, you've only talked about it, and then you open up your phone and there's an ad for it.
Well, we have to take a break, guys. I'm really sorry. We're super duper late. We'll take a quick break, come back with more A Gentleman's Guide right after this. It's the Tom and Dan Cruise 2020. This is like, what, our 7th or 8th cruise I think we've done?
Yep.
And if you go to the website, tomanddancruise2020.com, that's the numbers, 2020.com, you can check out. We're going to be sailing April 20th through the 24th, 2020, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
Absolutely. If you missed this year's cruise, the 2019 cruise, you definitely book the 2020 cruise. Like Daniel said, tomanddancruise2020.com. Welcome back to A Gentleman's Guide. Tom Van.
Dan Dennis.
Steve Kramer.
Let's jump into some voicemails with certainly the most neglected aspect of this show. If you have a question you'd like to ask, download our free app. It's the Tom and Dan app or Mediocre app for both iOS and for your Android and Googly type devices. Wherever apps are found, you can find our app. It's free.
Hey, so this is for A Gentleman's Guide. Kramer is big into thank you cards, and they're a good thing, but I always hate writing them. At least if it's to family for a present, I don't give a crap. But I hate writing them to, like, a business associate or an old boss or something, because I have horrible handwriting. And so what do you do when you want to write thank you notes, but your handwriting sucks? I mean, even when I slow down, intentionally try to make it look good, it just looks like someone with crappy handwriting writing slowly. About the best I can do is write in cursive, and that makes you look pretentious or
no way.
Just looks weird.
Beautiful cursive.
Do I just suck it up and write a crappy thank you note?
I thought that was an interesting question.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I know that I have, like, and you've commented on it. I think Bernie commented on one time. I think you commented on one time, Steve, that you guys are like, wow, you have really good handwriting me. I don't think I do. But then
until you see my handwriting.
Well, Tom's is probably some of the worst I've seen.
Yes, yeah.
But
mine
we've talked about that for
me and
years.
Seth.
Mine is so bad.
Seth's is worse than yours.
I'm willing to bet, and in a blind taste test, if you put me, you, and Seth next to each other, that I will win for worse handwriting. My handwriting is so bad
that
like even
doctor handwriting?
Yeah, worse. My handwriting is so bad that even I can't read it sometimes later. It's that bad. And so I can speak to this thank you note question directly because I have the worst handwriting on earth. What I can do is if I take time, I can block print pretty well.
Yeah.
Like,
if
but
you try,
it's really hard to do. I can do that. My handwriting deteriorated from from practicing, along with my signature, I think.
This
practicing
guy's,
well.
he's missing the whole point of a thank you note to begin with. The thank you note, it means something because it's coming from you to the person.
That's right.
They're not looking at like, oh, the handwriting is horrible. That this means less now. They'll
And
like
you don't have to say that much either.
They'll like it because they know it's coming from you. Because if they know you, they know that's your handwriting. So if it's good, if like you paid someone with a really good handwriting, it actually means less.
On the other hand,
if you don't, all right,
it's not the presentation of the note.
No, because you actually took the time, and you're also being vulnerable by showing them your bad handwriting. All right, I'm following you.
I think if you don't have the ability to write, and there's some people out there that just don't, it's better to have somebody else write it out for you than to type it.
Related, unrelated, how many of you in this room, because this is a Gentleman's Guide show, out of the three of us, how many of us have spouses that can do our signature in perfection, like perfectly?
Oh, man, mine.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, can your wife do your signature?
Absolutely.
Although I think guys like that, because
handwriting expert though, they pick it apart.
Right, but have you ever looked at like something like an important document? I mean, something going to the government. I mean, a check.
Taxes,
and then
everything.
you look and you're like, I didn't sign that, but then it looks just like your handwriting. My wife does that all the time. She's nailed my signature.
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
To the point where I question if I did it or not, because most of the time I'm drunk.
Yeah. I get mad when my wife's like, "Can you sign this?" I'm like, "Just sign it." And send, who cares? What? I'm going to print it out, sign it. I'm like, just sign it.
Legally,
whatever.
we should not be doing that, right? As our attorney.
I mean, it depends on how things play out later.
Like
you could come to regret that if your marriage is ever dissolved.
Could the IRS?
You're going to stay married forever. So
could the IRS, like my wife signing my tax, return, sending off these checks and this kind of stuff, these payments that we pay in quarterly or whatever, and she signs all of it. I don't sign a lick of it, but I'm supposed to be.
You're really not supposed to sign for somebody else. Is the answer
right? But could the IRS really just hear me saying this because I know there's a building here in town? Could they hear this and then literally go and get me into trouble?
No. The answer is no.
You really should not have other people sign documents for you.
My wife signs.
Unless
I'll
they
put this out
sign
here
as your attorney in fact, and you've done a power of attorney.
I'm feeling spicy today, Steve. I'm willing to put this out into the universe. I haven't signed any important documents in the last 10 years. Not one. Not one.
Yeah.
I think even some of the stuff that's business related, I've had Sam sign, I've had Travis sign. I think you've signed for
your
me
signature.
Before. Yeah, everybody signed everything.
Where that comes back to bite you is if
I
you have an identity theft issue.
He signs for me all the time.
We have a fraud or forgery issue, and then it's like, how are you going to prove?
He gave me a check for some gambling money he took, and then in the note section, he put murder. He wrote murder in there. And we cash our check. He's signing, I'm signing.
Some of my bank note, the check notes are really bad from college. Really bad.
Yeah.
I do it to Seth Petrozelli.
You put BJ in there. Yeah, you do whatever you got to do with it. Make yourself laugh. It's a tough world.
So I got one quick thing because I know we got to go.
Yeah, no, we got time. We got time.
I saw on Facebook the other day that they're like, "Hey, look at this! Like more robots taking our jobs," and it was basically a kind of like a Bob's barricade thing with a arm on it. You know how
Bob's barricade doesn't need a robot; it just sits there.
Well, I'm trying to do.
Oh, is this
it's like the base?
It sets the things out.
How many times have you drove down a street and you see two construction workers, one with a slow sign and then a go, and then there's another guy on the other side, and they're basically trying to direct traffic around like a bulldozer or something. And then you look at those guys and they're just standing there and they're like, switch.
They also give you anxiety too because when they switch it, then they start to look. Come on, and I'm like,
well, sometimes they're like. They wink at you, they look, and they shake their head. They're like, "I'm going to get you in a second."
You got the nice
and
guys.
they do, and they're like, "All right, come on."
I got the mean.
Come on, I made it work.
So essentially, they just figured out how to make this automated and make it into like a thing that two.
That's a lot of jobs. If you aggregate that over the entire country, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. But it's
also, did you see the other robot that
Sign
was on
spinner,
the BDM page that Dan Paul put up?
No,
he put up that robot that like it maneuvers through the department store, and then if it sees a spill.
Oh yeah.
You can call it, and it'll come, and it'll like notify the store that there needs.
Does it have like the cool '80s voice? The
cleanup.
Happy birthday, Polly.
I think his name is Murray.
Yeah,
Murray the spill robot.
They need that for sign spinners. That's the next thing, right? That's the worst job on earth. in Florida.
A robot sign spinner is just a windmill.
Although,
Pretty much,
Right?
Pretty much,
That's what it is.
Pretty much, except you need like the robot element for the to catch the eye. That's why.
the thing is with the
That
sign
rhymes.
spinner, I believe there's a little bit of a psychology of when you see a guy spinning a sign,
Exactly.
or a girl.
So
you're
imagine
like,
seeing an '80s era robot spinning a sign, and his eyes are lighting up.
But I
and
wouldn't
he's-
feel bad for him.
But no.
He's singing opera?
Daniel, this is the psychology. You look at that
Tom's
person,
right on
and
this.
then you're like, what bad decisions have they made?
Yeah,
to get
maybe I
themselves-
should go there and buy this apartment. I do that.
It's a pity.
All right, I'll
You don't
look
pity
at-
a robot.
Yeah.
I'm driving right by it.
Yeah.
Screw that robot.
All right,
Like-
I'll try your new Asian buffet.
The guy
What if
with
it was
the
like
long
a human? What if it was like
Tommy
one of those?
Hilfiger jean shorts and
What if it was
Please
like-
don't say Tommy Hilfiger.
What if it was one of those human like looking dolls?
A sex doll?
Well, not a sex doll because it's a sign spinning doll.
There's no
No, I
reason
don't-
for anyone to make a life-size doll other than to have sex with it.
No, for
That's a
spinning
fact.
signs. You'll look at it because you'll be like, oh, that poor guy over there. And you'll be like, wait, that's not some dude that made bad life decisions.
Yeah.
That's a robot with silicone
Oh,
skin.
is that a real doll spinning a sign? Oh, my God.
I think we got a market share here. I
Don't
do.
spin the sign when
to
I'm
tap
having
into an
sex with
untapped
you,
market.
real doll. You're shaking too much. Put your sign down and let me change your wig.
I think that's the title for the show. Real sex doll spinning signs. Real sex sign spinning robot doll.
I was thinking of how many other.
Mark that.
Oh, we got to get out of here.
All right.
No, well, you can
No, I
finish
was, I
up.
was
No,
just
do
gonna
it,
say,
please.
like the job, like if you have a job where majority of the time you're just standing with a stop slow sign or whatever,
Yeah.
you have to think.
They switch off. They take turns.
It
Yeah,
also
yeah.
isn't the
But-
only thing they're doing. It's just that person might be on the break. The other
Yeah.
guy's in the steamroller.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
That guy's like, I want to roll the steamroller now. I want to drive the
Yeah.
steamroller. You take your shift
I
on
mean,
the sign.
everybody's shooting for steamroller. Just sometimes you got to hold the sign.
sign. Yeah. But even those guys are probably thinking like, it's, a robot could do this. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a better way. Like,
Yeah.
they don't
But-
need paying me.
I mean, there is something to be said for, human judgment until it's proven, tested.
Yeah, see, that's what I would worry about
Yeah.
because I've seen that thing, and then next thing you know, that thing says go, and you drive, and there's a kid walking across the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
because it didn't see him.
Because
It
there's
didn't
stuff in
register.
between.
It didn't register on his sensors, and the kid gets hit, and oh man,
So that's one of the biggest
I've
challenges
seen
with
the sign
artificial.
holders. No Neil deGrasse Tyson here.
No. That's one of the most complicated things about AI with
Trust a
driving
robot more.
is eyes. Our eyes sort through so many different stimuli, and to determine which one have value and which stimuli don't have value is a really difficult thing to replicate with AI.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd still rather a human one for now.
let's plug some stuff. We are late. We have to get out of here. OneFirmForLife.com. We saw a friendly Ray Trendley yesterday.
I heard.
He brought us some venison sausage. We need to text him and find out if it's fully cooked because I think Butler ate a lot of it, and I haven't seen him.
Ate a
And
lot?
I think, I think he ate it. It might be raw, and now I believe Butler has massive diarrhea.
And worms.
Yeah, and worms. Yeah, and that's the worst diarrhea to have. is the-
Wormy diarrhea?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
That was voted worst in that same study about the boobs. At the very end, it's like, and by the way, wormy diarrhea is the worst. I don't know why they even put that in there.
I'm going to make up an article with a study in it and then try to somehow infiltrate and get it into your stream and see.
How close are we? How close are we to the boxing match between you and Dan Newland for our 10-year anniversary?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
You brought it up last week, and I already reached out to him, and he said
I don't think I
he
did
said
bring
he
it up.
already bought the American trunks, so you're going to have
No,
to be
I'm wearing
Ivan.
Creed trunks.
No, you're being Ivan Drago.
I'm wearing the Creed trunks.
No, Ivan Drago's cool. He's like, I must break him. You know,
If he does.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah, you could be that guy.
The funny thing is I watched Rocky 4 this weekend.
And then
What scenario?
Tom wanted to dress like Mr.
American
T, and I
scenario.
said, don't do that. That's not a good idea. Yeah, that's
fully.
When is it not a good
Hey,
idea to
sucker.
watch Rocky
Oh, that's
4?
what I was watching.
Hey, sucker, watch you sleep with a real man.
We were watching Tropic Thunder, and then I was high, and I was like, "Do you believe?"
Different
It was like
time.
10 years ago.
Different
Yeah,
time.
it was, but I was like Robert Downey Jr. like full on
He went
blackface.
all in.
and then we read. I was like,
Yeah, but they're making fun of
Yes.
that. I mean, it was satirizing the idea of doing
read
that.
all the different articles on what a lot of predominant black actors feel about that.
That chick got
still don't like
that. Chick got
absolutely.
fired for saying that same point.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. There were lots of other issues.
I know. But that's what she was saying. It's like it's all right if you're making.
No, that's not what she said.
I don't know. It was around that point. Like, well, look, there is a right. I think she was saying.
We got to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have a sun spinning robot to sleep with.
I want to argue blackface.
There's no argument in favor of it. There literally is no argument in favor of it. Period.
If you want to argue,
stay on Twitch. There's a 2-hour extravaganza.
Here it goes.
That's a disaster. I will leave on that one. That's the end of your career.
OneFirmForLife.com, and we
great.
Into my career, no one can fire me.
Oh, no.
Try to come after me.
We'll see you next week.